Okay. And we're here. Cool, cool,
We are
cool.
here.
That's the first time on the YouTube too.
Yeah,
YouTube and Twitch. Hello.
that's what I'm tweeting out right now. I'm getting both of the links ready, and
There
they're
you
going to
go.
be heading out there.
Go. We'll be able to take off whenever you're ready, Chief.
Okay, just getting.
Actually, hold on. Let me make a post as well before we get started. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Actually, no, never mind. I'm good.
Okay, I think this should work.
Da-na-na-na. Da-da-da-da-na-na. Boom, ba-dum, boom, 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 ba-dum, boom, boom.
Dun, 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 dun,
You good
dun,
over there,
dun, dun, dun,
Captain?
dun. I'm good. I got the tweet just sent.
All right, welcome into another episode of the Lowdown Sports Show. This show is brought to you by the Basketball Podcast Network, presented by DraftKings. I'm your host, Drew,
And I'm BJ.
and we're here to get the lowdown on all things basketball, ladies and gentlemen. Got a lot of stuff on the show once again today. So for the first time, 3 episodes in a row, we are going around the association. So we're back at it again with a myriad of topics here from both leagues today. A lot of basketball to talk. So uh, also playing some with it or quit it, of course. And here pretty soon we'll be adding some new stuff within the show, so be on the lookout for some new additions here in the coming weeks, especially as we approach into the summer months here. So surprises on the way, new stuff coming soon. Uh, BJ,
Yes, Drew.
you ready to get rocking?
I'm ready. Let's do it, man.
All right, let's get rocking. We're gonna do something a little bit different to kick off this episode, guys. Recent tragedy happened that we want to acknowledge the
Yeah,
shooting at Uvalde in Texas, where we
just west
lost,
of San Antonio.
yes, just west of San Antonio, where we lost 19 children and 2 adults. The total is at 21. 21 lives lost. A lone shooter came in with an assault rifle, locked himself in there, and just kind of opened fire on students and teachers that were present. Teachers lost their lives protecting students. Only 2 students from that class made it out of there. So shouts to the survivors of that. But just wanted to express that, and our our condolences and prayers out to the families. Everyone involved. Everyone can relate to this in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Everybody has, either a sibling. You could be a parent. You're an uncle or an aunt, a cousin, a godparent. Whatever. These are kids.
Yeah,
And I know it's a very hefty subject. BJ, your mom's a teacher. I've got
yes.
friends who are teachers, are actually right down the road at this very school in the town that I work in. So
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure and put this to the forefront. And I know it's on a lot of hearts for all who have heard and seen the news. And for any of you listening to this on the Friday when this come out in podcast form, it's still waning as the days go on. Um, don't let the next I don't know big dunk from Jason Tatum over Bam Adebayo let you forget about this tragedy that has happened, and just keep the main thing at all times. So just wanted to
Yeah,
put that out there, and hopefully something gets fixed in this world here, BJ. And I'm not of the mindset that it's gonna happen as soon as we want it to. That would be great, but
yeah.
some things just take time, and as long as down the line things get fixed, for whatever it is, if it's our grandchildren, our great grandchildren, whatever,
Yeah.
as long as we help make the progress to get that done for to get the years down the road, at least we're doing something.
I will say I think that, the biggest thing that we could try to fix at an individual level is to fix any hatreds in our hearts that we might have. I think that, without getting bogged down in anything else beyond that, I think just, on a personal level, whatever you can do that, tries to get rid of such hatreds that you might have in your heart, that would probably, that would go, I think, a long way too in terms of, things that we could do, because, at times you feel powerless when something like this happens. And so we're always looking to try to, what we can do to fix things, even if it doesn't feel like you're doing anything. This on a personal level, I think is the biggest thing that we can do, because having to rely on other people to do things and change things, going forward, it may feel hopeless, it may feel fruitless. And so that's why I say that beyond anything else, if we in ourselves, anyone that, you know that might stumble upon this, that might, get burned up over something, or might, necessarily have just caved into evil, perhaps, it's not too late. Somebody cares, reach out. There will be somebody there for you to talk about this. That's all I'll say, is that I think that, we all could use, more love and compassion in this world.
And whether it's necessarily gun reform, or if it's we need to solve the problem of mental health in this world, which we do.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have well, we have less likely situations like this to be happening. This is the only place in the world where this happens at the rate that it happens. And we've had more mass shootings this year than we've had days, by you know almost 3 months worth. That's how many days worth. If I'm trying to set it up for y'all to get a picture. But yeah, man, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
On to some basketball stuff on a lighter note. Here,
Hmm.
shift gears here. NBA playoffs still in full swing. Um, but while these playoffs are in full swing, the All NBA teams were
That's
announced
right.
earlier on, or actually late Tuesday night. So we're getting right to this action the very next afternoon here to talk about it with you as we record again on a Wednesday. BJ, looking
Yeah.
at the first team, second team, third team, what's something that stands out to you? A couple things actually. What are
Well,
a couple
a
things that
couple,
stand
yeah, a couple things that stood out to me. I was, I mean, I'm not surprised that he made it, but LeBron James being on the third team was kind of surprising. Although, as much as he was injured this year, it makes sense. I just, there's, to me, LeBron James is still, one of the best players in the league, and it's just unfortunate that, injuries ruin what would have been, I think, a great season for both he and the Lakers. But he gets put on the All NBA third team. You look at, some of the other names that were on the first team. I'm not surprised by any of these. Jokic, Antetokounmpo, Devin Booker, Luka Doncic, and Joel Embiid. I mean, those are. I mean, you talk about, all NBA. You've got, all MVP conversations with this, NBA first team.
Wait, who'd you
Maybe
say that
less
last one?
was Joel Embiid.
No, he's not first team.
Oh, I'm sorry. It says
You mean Jokic? Oh, well, we'll take a look at that. Hold on, BJ, having a little bit of a connection issue. Continue, sir.
Yeah, I it's this this said that they split votes as first team center. I thought it said he was on the first team as well. I was looking at this article, I read that wrong. So, but you talk about, uh, Jason Tatum is the other member. I apologize. It was worded a little bit weird, but those guys, that's five guys that were in talks to be the MVP this year. Maybe less so Tatum and Devin Booker, but Giannis, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, all up there in terms of being potential MVP candidates this year, and that is
Did,
a heck of a first team.
did you say somebody said that Jokic and Embiid split votes?
Yeah, so this article from Andrew Lopez on ESPN, Jokic and 76ers center Joel Embiid, who finished second in the MVP voting, split votes as the first team center on the All NBA first team.
Not what it's looking like here, because the graphic posted from NBA PR, NBA Communications, has the votes out here
Hmm.
and points. Jokic 88 points first team and 12 second team votes. Embiid 57 first team points and 43 second team points.
But it says split votes as center, but both were eligible at forward, and some voters opted to put both players on the first team that way. So you see 88 first place votes for Jokic, 57 for Embiid. They put one at forward and one at center, but Embiid made the second team at the center spot. So at least according to this article.
Hmm. Okay. And for the first time since, what does that graphic say? Since 1954-55, all the players in the first team are 27 or younger.
That's right. Yeah, the
That's pretty
first
crazy.
that it just shows you how young this league is and how good these young players are. That they are, the five of the best players in the league right now, and they're all as young as they are. I mean, we're talking with some of the things that Luka Doncic has done so far in his first three, years of his, being in the playoffs in his career. So these are some things that not even Michael Jordan was doing, Drew. This is, production we've not seen from somebody this young, ever in the postseason. And so, it's a little too early because there's injuries, and we hope that that's not the case. But when you've got one of the best players of all time and Michael Jordan, and he's not even performing at the level that Luka Doncic has been performing in the playoffs in his career so far, you really like what you think you're going to see from Luka Doncic in his career going forward, and maybe top 10 all time by the time he retires. The way he's playing right now,
Yeah, and he's about to tie Dirk for uh, all NBA nods, or is it first team
I think
nods?
it's first team.
His
Yeah,
career already about to tie Dirk in just a handful of years. So Luca is very much big time. But BJ, why don't you give us the rest of those all NBA teams?
yeah. So the second team, of course, Joel Embiid is the center. Steph Curry and John Morant were the guard spots, and then they had Kevin Durant and DeMar DeRozan as the two forwards on the second team. The third team had Chris Paul, Trey Young, LeBron, Pascal Siakam, and Minnesota center Carl Anthony Towns. I mean, I think you've got a very fine collection of players in all three of these teams, Drew. I mean, I'm a little surprised that we don't see James Harden. I think that he's kind of at times this year he's not played like he's all NBA, but just the name alone I
Yeah,
thought would carry some weight. But you've got Chris Paul, slam dunk, first ballot Hall of Famer. Steph Curry, John Morant are both very deserving. Jason Tatum, Devin Booker, Luka Doncic, all first team selections. It just, I think James Harden the odd man out. So the thing for LeBron James, he's now the is he? Let's see. Okay, he is. Yeah, he extends his own record for being on All NBA teams now with 18th, his 18th All NBA selection.
Big time.
Um, and then he also becomes the first player to make the All NBA team in his 19th season or later.
Big time, man.
Yeah, big time stuff.
That's the king right there.
And Chris
Um,
Paul joined Kobe Bryant as the only guards to make an All NBA team following their 17th season or later. So
ooh,
it's a very good collection of players, Drew. I'm not I don't really have any qualms with any of these selections. I'm my question, I guess, because of how many guards there are. Does defense not matter as much? Because where's Marcus Smart?
it doesn't matter as much, and that's an unfortunate thing. That's always been the case.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask you a question. Since you
Okay.
said you don't have any real wrinkles with it, I do want to pose one that has been a question mark for
Hmm.
some. Pascal Siakam on the third team, and brother was not an all-star at all. So I don't remember exactly because I haven't delved into this because it might take some time. How many times players have been named to the All NBA team that were not all stars?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure, but I mean, you look at his stats, he was in the top 15 in terms of points scored this year, averaging, nearly 23 a game, over 8.5 assists or 8.5 rebounds, I beg your pardon, and over 5 assists a game. I think when you look at what he was able to do and helping to keep that Toronto team, you know, when they lost guys at times and you know so they weren't full strength going into the playoffs, but the fact that they were able to keep it competitive, I think, is in large part because of Siakam and his contributions in that series against the Sixers.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's not a I don't know if it's a regular occurrence, but I feel like I've seen it happen before, and
It's pretty rare.
weird things have happened on the defensive player side as well. And this one I'll always remember. Mark Gasol back in 2012, making the second team All Defense and winning Defensive Player of the Year over Braun in
Yeah, that's
2013. I
that's
meant
right.
2013. My bad. But yeah, so that was a weird scenario back then,
That is pretty
and
weird.
those things are unfortunately a constant, uh, consistently weird. So, and that was
Yeah.
Marcus Hall's only all defensive nod, by the way. That sickens me to this day. Stole LeBron's defensive player of the year. That's crazy. Oh, but yeah, that's NBA all NBA teams. I'm not mad at them either. I think you got a really good crop here. One thing, it's just so interesting that dang, it seems like the voters clearly think that Giannis should be the MVP because unanimous 100, no votes for second and third team, just first only for
Hmm.
Giannis over here, as he's making his mark in the league, and you know,
Well, and I'll tell you, I mean, I think maybe that's not necessarily the case, in terms
mhm.
of whether Giannis should be MVP, but they thought that he played at an MVP type level enough to be on the first team.
Oh
I
yeah,
like I said with Embiid and Jokic both, on a lot of ballots being on the first team with both of them being eligible at forward and center. They're just trying to get the five best players onto the team, and I guess when you got three forwards or a center, two centers, and a forward like that, you got to make some adjustments around.
BJ, I want to mention something. I'll be brief on it, but it's on my
Okay.
mind right now. It's
All
kind of
right.
crazy. But, Luka Doncic here in first team All NBA again. You remember how many games he missed this year? You remember
I
how
remember quite a few. Yeah.
out of shape he came into the league this year as and had to play himself into shape? This man played 65 games in this season. So he missed
Mm.
what, 17? 17 games.
17 games. Yeah.
17 games. And still got the All NBA first team. Just
Yeah.
imagine if this dude starts to give a little bit more of a rip about basketball and his body. Like, just dedicate, I don't know, have a Michael Jordan summer where he just goes and starts pumping the iron, and Luca comes back with definition in his arms and no belly
Yeah.
at all to start the season. He's just gonna just go ballistic and probably literally average a triple double. And if he stays
Well,
healthy
and
for the entirety of one too, like it's just like, can we have a an all NBA team zero that nobody else can reach but Luca? Because it's just another level that he would be able to get to, and he's already on another level. And
yeah,
it's crazy to think that this guy can get better. But we won't sit here and keep pelting Luca because we got to dive into these NBA playoffs here.
yeah.
NBA.
I was just gonna say real quick about that. I'm not gonna take too long. Um, you know, for Luca, this will be the first normal like off season that wasn't interrupted with COVID or anything like that since I think his rookie year. So that's kind of been the problem, is that it hasn't been like an authentic off season. And as far as they've gotten in the postseason, he's not getting a whole lot of time to rest, but more so than he has in the past couple of years in between seasons.
All right, going into the playoffs. Going to start in the Eastern Conference Finals. PJ, this series is tied 2-2,
Mm-hmm.
and this is another one of those weird playoff years where we got a lot of blowouts on in this year's bit of playoff games. And in this series, we've got two, and depending on what you consider a blowout, in the regular season, I would consider a blowout 15 plus. In the postseason, I'd probably say 20 plus, because as you've seen already,
Yeah,
people can come back from 15-point leads in the playoffs lickety split.
yeah,
So to me, I feel like it's got to be at least 20 for a blowout. And that has happened multiple times in this series. And the only true blowout side of it has been the Celtics blowing the Heat out and have
yeah,
beat them by 20 and 25 points. Now, they have lost to the Heat by double digits. In game one, they
mm-hmm.
lost by 11.
Yeah,
But in game two, or in game three, they only lost by 6. So
yeah,
the only time that they were beat by any more than 6 points was when they didn't have the Defensive Player of the Year. And
yeah,
I don't think they had Robert Williams in that first game either. So
yeah.
they're
You're
missing
right.
some key pieces. And, when they've got their guys, they're either winning or barely losing. So at this point, just the way it's kind of shaking out, BJ, it seems like it's Boston's series. They're gonna upset Miami at the crib and finish it at the Garden at in or finish it in Boston. It is the Boston Garden, right?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I don't know
I
why
think
I
it's
backed up.
TD Garden. It's
TD
not
Garden.
the actual garden, but
There we go.
they still call it the garden, the new
Okay.
garden.
Okay. Just want to make sure at the Garden and beat them in 6 instead of going to 7. Just because Miami, I mean, when they're getting beat, they're getting clobbered.
Yeah,
It's not just losing; they're getting thwacked. And even if you bring back Kyle Lowry, I mean he's back, but I mean he back, or is he just playing? Don't
I
know.
don't know. Yeah,
But it's not like it even matters for these guys. And in Tyler Harrow, he's already missed game. I think he missed game 4 when they got blown out.
yeah,
So well, one of the times that they got blown out. So they'll really need him back in the next game if he's able to play. So
yeah,
I don't know. I just think
yeah.
my
It's
my bold prediction of the rematch Mavs versus Heat round 3 is just gonna not happen at all, and it's gonna be Warriors Celtics.
well, don't say that necessarily,
That's
because
right, because the Mavs are gonna be the first team to come back from a 3-0 deficit to make the finals after 146 other teams failed to do so.
we'll see. We'll
But we'll
see.
get to
We'll
that in a
get
minute.
back. Yeah. I'll say this. I haven't gotten to watch a whole lot of this series, and that's on me. I've got it all there to watch and go more in depth with the film. But based on what I have seen, the Celtics, they were down quite a bit in game three, were they not? And then they made a fierce rally and cut it only down to a 6 point game before they lost. I think that is what you could look back and see what changed the momentum of the series, Drew. I've not been, me, I'm not a Boston hater. I just have not bought into the Celtics team ever since before even the playoffs started. But I've got to give them some credit here, Drew. We talked about last week after game one, we didn't know how long, their guys were going to be out. they went in and won in Miami in game two, which no team had done so in these postseason in this playoffs yet. And they did that, I believe. They got Marcus Smart back, I believe, but they didn't have who was out on paternity. You'll have to refresh my memory. There was one player that wasn't in game
Oh,
two because his child was being born.
oh, I don't know. Give me a second. I'll see if I can find
Yeah,
that.
if you can find that, it's not a big deal, but I know it was a key player. I just can't remember now offhand. But they went in and they won, and not just that, but they won convincingly. And then at home, they got down again.
Oh, it was Derek White. Sorry.
Thank you, thank you. I couldn't remember offhand. I remember seeing it on Twitter, but I couldn't. For whatever reason, it didn't stick into my brain. Um,
You said got down again.
So, in game three, they fall behind, and it's very easy to see, like, oh, this team, yeah, they won one, but Miami's showing why they're the cream of the crop in the Eastern Conference, and that they're gonna win this game, and they're gonna try to win game four, and then they're gonna go and win on their home court in five or something like that. And that's not the case. The Celtics never gave up in that game three. That rally they went on late to claw back in. Ultimately, it didn't pay off for game three, but I think it paid off in a big way game four. And I think you're right, Drew. I think the Celtics actually do end up winning this series. Um, Now that after what I've seen from them and their performance, I'm not so sure that they'll win uh, on the road in game five, but I think they could
Hmm.
win a game seven. I think for their best chance of winning the series, if they steal game five, I think it's over. If they win game five on the road, a second win on the road in Miami, then they're going to win the series, and it's going to be in game six at home.
For sure, because I believe Miami was undefeated at home coming into the playoff series.
Yeah.
Kind of like we were with Luca anyway, not overall, but
Hmm.
we've shown that we've been able to falter at home. Mavs fans still think there's reasons for losing Game Three because the true crazy hype MFFLs didn't get to go, which is very true. Those seats were downright expensive, PJ. Like
Yeah.
nosebleeds are $300. So
Yeah.
you're only getting the guys that eat fish and chips that are over there up at that Mavericks game. So you only get a certain type of crowd or some guys that come into some type of money somehow, doing a bunch of different things. Uh, so you know, right now, if the Mavs win in Golden State and bring it back to a game six for Saturday, do you know what the starting ticket prices are for game six?
Nosebleeds,
Yes, starting ticket prices.
450.
Oh wow, it's a lot. That's a little too much. Uh,
Okay.
348.
Okay. Well, I think if they do end up winning game five, you might see those tickets go up.
Oh
Just
yeah,
to
well, I
just a
don't know.
safe just a safe bet.
As we casually transition into Warriors Mavs here. But yeah, there really is a chance, but I really feel like in between now and then, like maybe today they'll drop the prices, and then if they win, they'll maybe bump it a little bit up, but enough to where fans can afford to come. Because do you know how much they dropped those Game Four tickets?
Now, how much?
They dropped those suckers almost $200, BJ. Like those were like expensive. Up to we are talking about them being $300, and um, there are seats up there that are even more than that, obviously, but
Yeah,
those are just starting prices.
starting prices.
But
Yeah,
yeah, they dropped down to like 107, starting for Game Four when they open with like I don't know 3 plus. So or actually
also
it
also
wasn't it was high twos for sure.
also consider that game three was on a Sunday night, game six would be on a Saturday night,
Mhm.
game four on a Tuesday night, and it's a weeknight. There's a little bit there's a little bit less of a not necessarily like demand or anything like that, but there would probably be more people that would be able to go to like an 8 o'clock start on a weekend night as opposed to a weeknight, when knowing that the
Yeah.
game won't let out till probably 11 or so Central Time, with commercials and everything like that, stoppages, especially when you got a leaky roof.
Oh, you beat me to it. I was gonna say, but man, prices should go down because the roof's leaking. Drop the prices, Mark. Your roof is
Yeah,
leaking.
I saw that there was, the talk about, and this has been, a couple months now, I think, going back, that there was talk about wanting a new arena. I'm like, well, this arena is still relatively new and pretty good shape, and then all of a sudden now we've seen multiple incidents in the past, couple months with the roof leaking.
Stop
I'm
beating me
not
to
gonna
my
get my
point.
not gonna get my Twilight, zone music out, but there's I think there might be a conspiracy afoot here, Drew.
Stop beating me to my points, BJ. I was gonna bring that up and ask you about that. Um,
Sorry.
because I was listening to the fan today, and Mike was actually talking about it. Mike Bassick
Hmm.
talking about Mike and Kevin, the possibility of the Mavs moving out of the AAC and going to I think either going to their practice facility or having something built by their practice facility on the other side of town, and vacating the AAC. Um, and I had the instant question, which will tie into something we'll talk about later in WNBA,
Hmm.
is if that would be the chance for the Dallas Wings to move out of Arlington and into Dallas and into a known building. I
Yeah.
mean, parking's not great,
No.
but the crowds won't be as big and bolsterous. I mean, for one, this is a playoff game, so it's absolutely insane. But I mean, they would not have any parking issues. Everybody could park in the same one. Whereas at the AAC, there's like two or three garages.
Hmm.
Everybody could just park in this one. It would be pain getting out, but still, I mean, this team would be in Dallas instead of being at a college gym in the College Park Center. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the College Park Center. I mean, if I was a player, that would be super dope. And heck, if I was over there going to the school and covering that team, it would still be cool to work in. But a
Yeah.
professional team deserves a professional gym and arena for pros and not be in the college space. So if that opportunity arises, I think the Dallas Wings should definitely take the opportunity to slide into the AAC. But we'll talk about more WNBA stuff later. But it's the roof, Mark. Okay.
Well,
Um,
let
yeah,
me say this, because I don't know if this gets talked about a whole lot. When Reunion Arena was built, it opened up in 1980, and then by about 20, 21 years or so later, they had already built the AAC, and both the Stars and the Mavs left. So we're about that same time away from the AAC being open as they were when Reunion lost both the Mavs and the Stars. So
they brought that
maybe,
up too.
yeah, maybe it's not necessarily that out of the realm of possibility that they need another arena, but at the same time, are we not building arenas to last, more than 20 years these days? Like, what's going on with that?
I just think they're getting bored of it, and especially since this is, it's Mark's chance now to build the type of arena he wants, because he didn't have really any say in that first one because he was just coming in, or just got the
Yeah.
team, and plans had already been drawn up. This place was being built, uh,
Yeah.
right as he was coming in, so he had no say in that. And he's obviously, if you watch that stinking game 4, you can see how pissed off he is that his roof is leaking and this game is delayed by like a half hour.
I don't
So
know if you saw this, Drew. There was a meme, or I don't know if it's a meme or if it's like an actual listing, but somebody went and looked, and like facilities manager is listed as a job at the American Airlines Center. It's like Mark Cuban fired the facilities manager like during the game or something like that, and the listing was already there. Like I said, I don't know if it's legitimate or not. Maybe it was already posted before the game, but the timing is just like chef's kiss in terms of how funny that was.
it's funny either way it goes. Whether it was already there and it's like, oh wow, that's why your roof is leaking, or
Yeah.
if it's a running joke that he posted it during that stuff happening. Either way, that's hilarious. But
Mhm.
if it is true that it was there before, then they're down bad. Wrong time to
Yeah.
let somebody go. You should let your
Oof.
season in and then fire that guy
Yeah.
or or girl, whatever, whoever's working that.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it may, and it may not be anything he controls. It may just be the arena and the building in general. But
and BJ, before I forget, I don't remember where I saw this, but I remember it in my mental. In this series against the Warriors, in the first half of the game, through all four of these games, the Mavs are at plus 19 against the Warriors and are somehow down 3-1 in this series. And I say
not
somehow for
not
the
getting
people
game
that
two really hurts.
I say somehow, yes, it. You think that is why I really thought that this series could be completely flipped the other way for us, and it
Hmm.
should be. It's like because we should have taken game two, we would have had momentum rolling into game three where we always win at the crib,
Yeah,
and then we would have won game four just like we did. We'd be up 3-1, and how it
yeah,
should be going.
yeah. I
And just
mean,
the
and
fact that
that's
we were getting spanked by Kevon Looney for so many games is just ridiculous.
yeah. And I'll say this. My mom, I love her to death. Give her a whole lot of credit. She has a lot of crackpot theories when it comes to professional sports. But she said what I'll say as the best thing about this series: the Mavs are a better team than they've been playing in this series. I think that's the best way to sum it up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's no question. And you see the post games from Kid talking about the looks that they get. They're just not going down, which is very true. I mean, they're just not
Yeah,
going down. They're getting good looks. They're
yeah,
just missing shots, and you can tell it by the percentages. They're finishing games like 26% from three and things like that when they're tossing up like 40, 34 plus of threes.
yeah,
So I mean, you live by it, you die by it. But I mean, that's
yeah,
probably the only way you're going to beat this team because that's what they do. But as long as you continue to clean up those mistakes that you made in those other games, which, I mean, they seem, and man, don't quote me on this. We're not gonna post this clip, but he seems as calm and collected as the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2016, and how their attitude was at a 3-1, and they felt good, even in the position that they were in. And obviously, despite the deficit and the hole, they made their comeback. Um, and you know, we just seem to have that type of poise, at least from the top at leadership, and from Jason. And if he's got that kind of calmness, like that he's not worried. He talks smack. There was a quote about he was talking about the Warriors defense, like they can't guard us 1-on-1, so that's why they're in the zone.
hmm,
That's why they're dropping in the zone. They can't guard us 1-on-1. And you know how kind of dry and mellow he is, so he kind of made a joke along with it. So
hmm.
I mean, taking a nice little jab at the Warriors there, it's almost kind of was like, man, what are you doing? Don't do that. You're
Don't poke the
down.
bear.
Yeah, for real. They'll start splashing things from three in Golden State and send you home in five. So, but it's just good to see that he's got that kind of calm confidence and composure. I mean, we've seen it from him all season, but especially in this situation, he's remaining the same. It's not like, do or die. The players realize it's like, four straight game sevens, like Jalen Brunson said. But his poise, it kind of it speaks to this decent bit for this team here.
Do you
Um,
know? I mean, you talk about all the bad, moments that the Mavs have had when it comes to the Warriors. That Jason Richardson like spinning three at the buzzer, the 2007 postseason series. If the Warriors become not just like the first team to, they get the 3-1 memes, but if they become the first team to get the 3-0 memes and the Mavericks finally exercise their demons, do you know, like, you talk about crumbling the founding blocks of a dynasty. That
dude,
that would just do unsurmountable damage
dude,
to this Warriors team.
I've had these thoughts ever since we got down 3-0 and I was leaving the AAC in game 3 on Sunday. Just the fact that like they're already a part of one of the ugliest sides of history, and it's
Hmm.
blowing that 3-1 lead in the finals. And you know, here they are again with a crazy part of history that could potentially be there for them again, being on the wrong end of letting us come back from a 3-0 deficit, which would be even worse or
Yeah,
comparatively worse, arguably for sure
yeah,
worse than blowing a 3-1 lead in the finals. I think it's not as bad because that's the finals and you're 1 game away.
Yeah,
I think it's still extremely bad though.
very
Like
bad.
if
Yeah,
that's a 1A, this is a 1B. I don't
we
think it's
we
a 1-2. I think it's so close because it's you had a sweep and then you got swept.
we talked about how bad it would have been if the Sixers had blown a 3-0 lead in the first round against against the Raptors. This would be amplified tenfold if it happened to the Warriors because of the 3-1 memes and subsequently even more. But being 3-0 in the Western Finals as opposed to the first round, it would do insurmountable damage to a lot of those guys,
would it
their careers.
would it put enough of a dark cloud over their dynasty of 3 championships in 4 years, like those two catastrophes?
No, no, because
Yeah.
enough time has passed since their last championship that you could, if they win it this year, you could count this as part of the dynasty. But if they
Nah.
don't win it this year, I think that the 2019 was the beginning of the end for the dynasty, and you see like an SB Nation or whatever, I think Secret Base now video on like collapse or whatever if the Warriors have to start going through a rebuild because their guys are getting older, they're not getting any younger, they realize this is probably it in terms of how close they are now and going for another championship. It's either now or never for Golden State. And I heard a comparison about this series that I hadn't thought of. I wanted your opinions on it real quick before we move on. Compare this Mavs team to the 2011 Oklahoma City Thunder team that was in the Western Finals against the Mavericks, and compare the Warriors to that Mavs team, basically where the Thunder were like, yeah, no, we're for sure gonna beat them, and everywhere like around here we were like, yeah, we're gonna beat them. There's nothing to worry about, and we went out and just did it, in five. Is that a fair comparison? In terms of the youth of this team compared to that Oklahoma City team, we saw how good that team, the three superstars that they had on there. Is that a fair comparison to make?
I don't know that it's necessarily a fair one to make.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Two different types of teams.
Yeah,
And I don't know that the Warriors had that attitude, like they're just gonna come in and just send us home. Obviously, they realized how feisty we were. We sent Phoenix home. And most
maybe
people,
maybe
mo-
more so Warriors fans as opposed to the Warriors themselves. But
yeah, um, yeah. I mean, it's just that young OKC team. They were just young, arrogant guys that thought they were hot shots early, and thought the
mm-hmm.
league was theirs already because of their young talent between the three of them and
Yeah,
four of them actually because Ibaka was big time
Ibaka,
back
yeah,
then. But this team, the only really big time guy is Luca, and Brunson's just trying to get his money. Everybody else is just kind of in a role, filling a role, similar to that 2011 team. But you're asking me to compare this team to that 2012 Thunder team. I don't think there's as many similarities in that regard. I don't think we're
mm-hmm.
arrogant here at all, for sure. We're
I don't
thankful to
think
be
so.
here. And I think
I
that
like I
that's
said,
one
I
of
had
the
heard.
unfortunate parts that we're thankful to be here. I think we should have been thankful to be here for 24 hours, and then we should have woke the hell up and got business done. But
Yeah, I think that they were thankful to be there because nobody expected them to be there. Not even you and I thought they would make it this far. And if we weren't thinking we were delusional, and so we are grateful to be there. But at the same time, it's like, well, comparatively to how Utah with Rudy Gobert and Phoenix with DeAndre Ayton, this seemed like a more favorable matchup because they don't have that big guy in the paint. You should be able to get to the basket, but at the same time, like I said, I heard that comparison. I didn't necessarily agree with it, but it was definitely thought provoking. I wanted your take on it.
yeah, Mavs still definitely have a chance because I still feel the same about our advantage over this team and the way we play can beat the way that they play, and we could win 4 straight. It could happen. I'm not
It could
saying it
happen,
will,
but
but
it
I
could
didn't.
just as go
But
ahead.
I didn't think 2016 was gonna happen. So there
Yeah,
you go.
it could happen, but it could just as likely be a gentleman's sweep with Golden State winning on their home court. Let's hope that's not the case, but
This playoff action is nonstop, though, at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new customers can just bet $5 on any team, the Mavs, to win and get $150 in free bets if they do.
That's right, Drew. If you're looking to turn a small bet into a big payday during the NBA playoffs, you can do just that with DraftKings same game parlays. Create your own parlay by combining multiple bets like which team will win, as Drew said, Mavericks. The total three pointers made, I'm going to say 17. Give me 17. The total rebounds for, let's say, Luka Doncic, 11. And boom, you've got a shot at an even bigger payout. Right now, all customers can place a same game parlay with three or more legs and get a free bet back up to $25 if one leg does not hit.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TBPN. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's promo code TBPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right, Drew, let's shift gears. Let's talk some WNBA. How about those Dallas Wings? They keep winning away from home. And the talent that they're beating on the road, the Phoenix Mercury. Wow, what a big time win there.
Yeah, tell me about it, Beej. Dallas Wings, for the first time in their history, starting the season off 4-0 on the road. I don't even know if they've started 2-0 on the road before, BJ, let alone three for sure. I know three has not happened, at least since I've been here. And there was only 2 seasons before I was here in Dallas, and those were really bad seasons. So I know
Yeah.
that didn't happen then. But this team is playing rejuvenated. They're a different brand of basketball than this team has ever truly had in the past, and they've been trying to do that ever since last season, since Vicky Johnson took over, because he's a defensive-minded coach. They weren't able to fully, really establish it last year, but they are indeed establishing that early this year, and really kind of focusing in when they're on the road, and it's been it's been really impressive to see because they've really kind of stood out more than I expected them to early on. But it's been really good, and they still got some things to work out. I've got some question marks on certain things. So but you got to be happy about where they are right now. Five and
Absolutely.
two, third in the league so far. Um, in the WNBA standings, their only losses have been at home. One against a team that they beat before, and another against an Atlanta Dream team that you didn't expect to even be moderately as good as it is right now, holding a 4-3 record.
Yeah.
So those only 2 losses are against teams that they've beaten or that they could beat. So
Hmm.
they've beaten Washington. They could do it again, and Atlanta is a beatable team, beatable young
Yeah.
team. So I mean, we just gotta get things together and reestablish that home court once we get back in June and have more of a home stand. But Wings are on a bit of a road trip since they started off with a win against a big time team, the Connecticut Sun,
Hmm.
who before that game did not lose at home so far early this season. I mean, only a couple games, but still, Connecticut a really tough team to beat. Connecticut actually just lost Jasmine Thomas for the season,
Mm.
so they were without her in that game. But still, you got to be pleased with the way Dallas played. They came out really rejuvenated in the second half. I wish I had my little notes from last night, but yeah, they came out rejuvenated the second half, outscored Connecticut 58-38 in the second half. The duo of Marike Mabry, wow, Arike Gumbuwale and Marina Mabry. Marike, there we go.
Marike, there you
The
go.
the
That's
the
their
combo.
ship name, right?
That is their nickname there.
Okay.
That duo closed out the game for them, and this team had a really big third quarter. The margins was even bigger than what it ended up being at the end. Uh, Connecticut had a little late run to make it a little bit more respectable, but the Wings they had a really good game, and it's really good to see that they're starting to get some attention. It's people from WNBA and people from ESPN showing up to the Zoom last night to ask questions. So finally getting some of that national attention. Alicia Gray making it known that she needs acknowledgement for everything she does aside from scoring. That she's more than just a bucket. She's a defensive player. She deserves to be an all defensive player in this league. She is one, and she wants that acknowledgement for all the other little things that she does as well. So we'll make sure we keep pushing that Alicia agenda
Absolutely.
as much as we can, especially since the Dallas Wings only have about 2 or 3 national TV games this year. Which, I mean, if they continue to play really good basketball, some things might get pushed to an ABC or an ESPN game and a swap with another team. Who knows? Games could get
Yeah.
picked up for the Dallas Wings. That could happen, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, they're playing a good brand of basketball. They're more committed on defense. The only thing they have to work on, which this team has always had to work on ever since I've been covering it, is consistency. So they
Yes.
just got to keep doing it. They just got to keep doing it because they had these moments early last year, maybe not playing as well, but still making the steps in their maturity to where, and I'm pretty sure they said this. I don't remember which player it was, but they were talking about when they would get a clutch win, they were like, "Oh, last year we wouldn't have won this game. We would have blown this game."
Yeah.
And I thought that was funny because Saw 2 recently sit again this year, and it almost makes me nervous like it did last year when she said it because I believed him last year and I was like, "Oh yeah," because they really did seem like they had made those strides. They're getting over that hump of being a young team and doing young mistakes in the league, and then they went back and did the young mistakes and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping it is true this time and it is believable, but you can't be mad at me for kind of being on edge to when it
Optimistic.
is. Yeah. So, but
You
I'm
want to
I'm
be an
hope.
optimist. I want to be an optimist too. I mean, not that I'm necessarily wanting to doubt the Wings or anything like that. I know it's not sustainable to expect them to win every game away from home, and in fact, I bet you know I'm without saying necessarily, I think Connecticut will be feisty for a win and not want to get swept in the back to back games. But, the Wings are playing right now like they could win the game. They're playing like they could win any game, as you said, third in the league right now so far because of that record away from home. And as you said, they have beaten one of the teams they lost at home, and they certainly could beat that Atlanta team that they will see again here, probably. I don't have the exact schedule in front of me, but they will see them again at some point. Um, and so it is going to be interesting to keep an eye on the Wings because right now they are playing above teams so far like Seattle, like Phoenix team that, even ahead of Connecticut, teams that are expected to do a whole lot this year. If the Wings can sustain this, then why not? Why not make the push and go all in and try to have this be the year for them? So, let's talk about, some of the other teams in the WNBA right now, Drew. Only teams that are ahead of the Wings thus far are not really too surprising to me. That's Vegas and Washington. I mean, you talk about both those teams being, among the cream of the crop in terms of, championship contenders, and their windows are open this year right now.
Yeah, and Vegas would be undefeated if they didn't have one random clunker on the road where I think they lost by nearly 20 or 20 plus. So, Vegas
Yeah.
really playing a good brand of basketball early. So it's good to see that Becky Hammond's kind of already established a nice little winning culture in Vegas, which I mean they're already used to winning, but you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So,
This is exactly what I expected from Coach Hammond and this Vegas team this year, Drew. I really liked the hire. I know we talked about whether she should wait around and take the job in the NBA, but I honestly, Drew, the way they're playing right now, and I think they'll continue to sustain this year and going forward. Whenever Pop does decide that he's ready to hang up the suit and settle back into the less into the limelight. Becky, I don't think has done anything or and won't do anything in the WNBA that won't do anything except amplify her chances of being a head coach in the NBA if that's what she wants. I mean, she may be perfectly happy to have herself a little dynasty brewing out here in Vegas and in the WNBA, as far as we know.
And as far as these top two teams go, I was mentioning the Aces one loss. That road loss was to the Mystics, the
Washington,
number
yeah,
two team in the league. The
by
Mystics lost.
13.
The Mystics losses. Washington was against us, and who was that recent one was against the Sky. So they lost to the defending champs, who are actually
Hmm.
who are the four seed right behind us, and
Yeah,
us. So they're only losing to top teams. So they're imagining we imagine this team to stay up here.
yeah,
Dallas. One of Dallas's losses, sixth seed Atlanta, which they're playing, better than you thought, and games like that happen for Dallas, or in the league in general. So, and that other loss comes from the number two team in the league in the Washington Mystics. So they've only lost to playoff level teams, and they're getting past the ones they should beat. So as long as they continue to do that, and if they can sweep Connecticut here, that's massive,
that's
man.
huge.
You
Yeah,
go in 6-2 in the league, and you drop Connecticut to 4-3. Give them
and
back to
5 and
back
0 on the
losses.
road.
Yeah, back to back losses at their house, and yeah, and you start out 5-0 on the road. Goodness, you'd be the only team undefeated. Well, no, Mystics are still undefeated on the road, but you'd be the only team with 5 road wins so far. So that's big time, and
And the
you're
Mystics' next road game coming up this weekend is at Connecticut too, so that should
currently
be very interesting.
one of two teams on a 3+ game win streak right now, as well. So Dallas got to keep it rolling, BJ.
Yes,
And
sir.
we've briefly mentioned Atlanta. I want to run through some things real quick with some stuff here. Natasha or not Natasha, Ryan Howard for Atlanta. Got bottled up the other day pretty well, BJ. They figured out the rook
Mm,
pretty early. Last game, Ryan Howard 0 points, BJ.
wow.
0 points, 0 for 9 from the field,
Mm,
and a 20-point loss. And I believe this tied a franchise record for the Dream for the least points scored in a WNBA game. Let me actually go check WBB timeline on that stat, uh,
wow.
or across the timeline, I should say. But yeah, it was a historically bad night for the Dream. So let me double
Yeah,
check on that real quick on that 50 points, but
yeah. That's
definitely
insane.
rough.
And that was just last night on Tuesday, wasn't it?
Yeah, golly, where
Gotcha.
did that thing go? Well, before I find that, I do want to mention that Elena Deladon hit 4K career points as well since our last episode. She is, I
Okay.
believe, the second fastest to do so. Candace Parker also got her second triple double of her career, one of three players to do that
Mm-hmm.
in the WNBA, uh, regular season and playoffs.
Yeah.
But I'm not finding the 50-point thing from the Atlanta Dream on this site. But yeah, it was definitely a historically bad night for the Dream. Let's just kind of keep it
Yeah,
at that.
they
If I come
only
across it,
attempted 6 free throws.
jeez, yeah.
Man,
Actually, oh, here it is. I found it. The Dream have broken the franchise record for fewest points in a game with 50.
wow.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and let me see what it was before that. If I can get that anyway. Yeah, before that, the last time was 2017 against Minnesota.
Mm,
They put up 54 in a loss.
wow.
Oof, buddy.
Oh my.
That's
Not
pretty
good
rough.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so definitely a rough time this weekend or recently for Atlanta after a really hot start from Ryan Howard and an unexpected start from the Dream overall. So they got to kind of catch their footing, and I imagine Ryan Howard will have a bounce back night. She seems like one of those types of players that's got to go back and give you a 20 to 30 piece after not scoring like that. So we'll see what
And
she
they're
does.
back. Yeah, they're back in action Sunday against the Mercury. That's an early start on
That's the next
CBS.
time they play.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that stinks for the wow Dream. Can't believe they're not playing again until Sunday. You said, yeah.
Yeah, because
Um,
tonight's Mercury Sparks, tomorrow Wings at Sun, Friday is Sparks at Fever, Liberty at Storm, then Saturday is Aces at Sky, Mystics at Sun.
I can't believe there's only 4 games in the next 3 days. It's pretty insane to me.
Yeah,
Whatever. Yeah, Atlanta got to get it together. But back to some little nuggets that I mentioned last week, some specific things. We'll continue, hopefully, to bring this to you each week.
yeah.
If these things stand anyway. But teams still
Hmm.
undefeated at home. The Aces 5-0. Dallas and Washington, as I said, undefeated on the road. 3-0 for Washington, 4-0 for Dallas. Winless on the road. Seattle Storm still. I think
I
they had
expect that to change.
they had Stewie with this last game though, on their road game, and they lost that one. And the New York Liberty, with all that talent, not being able to do anything with it, and they are last in the league now. BJ, they opened up the season beating the Connecticut Sun, just to not win a single game since, and it's been rough
Yeah,
sailing out there.
this WNBA standings that I'm seeing on ESPN, even though they have a better winning percentage, Indiana is listed as the last place team because they're 5.5 back of Vegas right now. So, but either way, you make the argument that you know New York hasn't won a game since opening night, and I mean this is just not what we wanted to see from Sandy and her squad out there.
Yeah, it's pretty tough out there. But heck, if the New York Liberty win back-to-back games, they're technically in the playoffs. They would be the 8th seed,
Yeah,
because Phoenix, Los Angeles, Minnesota, and Indiana all just have 2 wins. But
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff shaking up here in a bit. I bet the top teams will, continue to do some winning, and some of the bottom will still show as to why they're at the bottom. And
yeah.
we'll continue to see how things process right here. But BJ, I don't know if you ever ended up making any fantasy team or anything like that. Get yourself set up,
I
but
I hadn't I didn't have time last week, but I can try to look and see if I can get it set up this week.
gonna make one during week 3,
I
and we don't need it now. We don't need it now. We don't need it. But I have been playing fantasy, BJ, and I am getting used to it. Getting in here with some fantasy. I got three teams. One of them I kind of forgot to manage, so they're 0-2. But the ones that I actively manage, one's undefeated, and that's my WNBA Twitter league that I made for all the people who are new to fantasy and wanting to
hmm
play. So I made a little league for them, and I got my paid one. I'm 1-1. I was down. I lost like 50 points this past week. I had a clunker.
hmm
So, but WNBA fantasy has been fun. It's especially enjoyable because unlike you know NBA fantasy, BJ, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this last week, but they don't have any negative points. So
Yeah, you did mention that last week.
yeah, so you just got the positive here, so you can get those point totals that you kind of see in the NBA games, where they have more time, to be able to accumulate more points and things like that. So you'll see like the 38 from a Brittany Sykes or whatever in fantasy point totals,
Yeah.
and really in WNBA fantasy, BJ, the key to being good at it is so easy. Obviously, aside from health, and you need a little bit of luck, but
hmm
building your roster, you need two-way players,
Yeah.
mostly defensive player, because
Yeah.
the point additions for steals and blocks is two, whereas points and assists and rebounds are just one
Just
per.
one. Yeah.
So, players like Brittany Sykes, when they're going out there and getting 3 steals and 2 blocks, I'm over here like, hey, that's what I'm talking about. Points out the
Heck yeah.
wazoo.
Heck yeah.
Because she just add them up with those extra steals and blocks on top of what she's already done. So those two-way players really help you out. I mean, if you got an Age of Wilson, I'm pretty sure she's in my in one of these leagues. Or yeah, she's in my WNBA Twitter one, I believe,
Gotcha.
averaging her double. Yeah, double and like 3 blocks a game. So she's really pacing my squad over there. She's been a real defensive presence this year and just trying. I mean, she's really kind of making an early case for Defensive Player of the Year, and
Yeah.
eventually we'll start talking more into who's doing things defensively in those 6 women or 6 Player of the Year awards. We'll dig into players who could be shifting to that conversation. We'll start mentioning some of those names as the weeks continue. Uh, that's it on my WNBA side, and I'll get some more updates via fantasy. I gotta get some more of that for y'all, just because it's brand new, and I know people are kind of interested in trying that out. But let's play a
Sweet.
little game though before we head out of here today. BJ, what do you think?
All right. All right. Let's play a little with it or quit it, Drew.
All right, a little with it or quit it. Next week is back to you, my brother. So
That's right.
let's get this done. All right, with it or quit it. Number one, the WNBA should see expansion before the NBA does. With it or quit it. Because there was recent news about the NBA in the next year or two adding Seattle and Vegas in the
Yeah,
mix.
that's I was just about to say that I had seen that they were talking about NBA expansion. I mean, Seattle's got to get a team back in the NBA, but this is not the question, obviously. So the WNBA needs to have expansion before the NBA. That's the question.
Yeah, it should see expansion before the NBA.
You know what? Let's Yeah, I'm with it. We only got 12 teams in the WNBA versus, 30 already in the NBA. I think you need to add four W teams before you add two more NBA, and that way you kind of have like, WNBA has, a scaled back, half of the league basically for the NBA. But the question that I would pose to you, I'm absolutely with it that we need to see some more teams because as many players that get cut and are having to go overseas. If we want this league to grow, I think we should give them more players more opportunities to be in the league, and the only way to do that is to make more teams. Where would you suggest we add a few more teams? I would say probably Houston would be my first thought because, why we don't have the Comets anymore is beyond me. But
Yeah.
beyond Houston, where else would you say?
Initially, and there's been lots of talks about these, but obviously Houston. Want to
Mm-hmm.
also mention Philly.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of love for Philly out there.
Yeah.
Toronto as
Okay. Yeah.
well. There've
Get
been
into the
talks.
Canada. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been talks about Oakland, Bay Area.
Yeah.
Um, Trying to get another team out in Cali.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got two teams to bring back in Texas. We could bring the Stars back too, but
And the Silver
I
Spurs,
mean,
right?
they weren't the most successful franchise though, and heck, basketball's all San Antonio's really got. I don't know though,
Yeah.
so but it's still an option, and obviously all the other old teams, but like the more serious, like these could probably be legitimate. Like one of the first two that we add, Toronto, Philly, I think are a
Okay.
pretty safe bet, or Philly,
Houston,
Houston,
maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
some combination of that. So
I like it. I like it. I'm absolutely with it. We need to expand the WNBA, if not before, but at the same time, at the very worst, as the NBA.
all right, number two, red wine is better than white wine and rosé. With it or quit it?
Well, I'm not a big wine drinker, but from what
Dang,
I've heard,
get with it.
yeah,
It's National Wine Day. Go get you a glass. Go get a barefoot sweet red blend from Walmart. Get the big bottle. It's $10 and some change. Boom. There you go. You can partake in wine for the first time on National Wine Day.
Okay. I've had
He's
wine
he's
before. I'm just
he's
not
not
a
gonna do
wine
it.
connoisseur. So I've always heard that there are more health benefits to red wine than to white wine or to rosé or anything like that. So I have heard good things about it. My grandma was more into wine than anything, and I think she did drink red wine. So
Shout out Grandma
I
Lotta
would
Milk.
have to say, yeah, I would have to say with it in that respect. But like I said, I'm not a big wine drinker at least.
Okay. All right. Fine. Well, you need to get with it, BJ, because it's good. Um, Number three. All right. This is a very hotly debated topic, and I just need to know where you are here, BJ. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Number three. It's chips and salsa, not chips and hot sauce. With it or quit it.
Absolutely with it. I don't know why this is a hotly debated thing. I thought you were gonna say like it's chips and guac over chips and queso or chips and
Oh
queso over
no,
chips
no,
and
no!
salsa. I'm
People
like,
like
I can't necessarily go that far, but yeah, I'm not a big hot sauce guy, but I love salsa,
oh no,
and
you
so
wouldn't believe how many people come into a restaurant and be like, "Can I get some chips and hot sauce?" Like what? No.
yeah,
You
no.
want what? You want Louisiana or Tabasco? So then you start asking them when they say hot sauce. What? Excuse me? What?
What Cholula?
What are
What?
you talking
Huh?
about? You want
What?
Cholula sauce? Okay.
Really?
Um, but no, just that
Yeah.
confusion. But hey, yeah, I just wanted to make sure you weren't a
No.
hot sauce guy.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's chips and salsa or it's nothing for me.
Okay.
I'd rather have plain chips over chips and hot sauce. I'll be honest with you.
Okay. Well, here's a we're quit at 3.5.
3.5. Okay.
Favorite one of these three options: chips and salsa, chips and guac, chips and queso.
Chips and guac. I mean that I think that can't be beat. But
Really? You
it
just
just
dismiss
depends.
queso like that? Yeah. Okay.
I don't dismiss queso, but usually you have to pay extra for queso or guac or both. And so if I'm going to pay for one of the two, I'm going to pay for guac as opposed to queso. If queso comes complimentary, then for sure I'm getting
Oh,
the
it's not
chips and
going
the
to.
queso. Yeah, no, it's either
Yeah.
chips and salsa or you got to pay for. Sometimes they'll give you chips and queso though.
They must not have very good queso if they're giving it out for free.
No, it's not bad. I mean, the place that I
It's
go to at
see,
least.
it's not bad. It's not good though. It's mid.
Well, I
It's
mean,
it's edible.
it's I've had better, but the place that I go to
There you go.
that
See,
does give chips and queso, but I don't go there for the chips and queso. It's just something to snack on while I'm waiting for my enchiladas.
fair enough. All right, number 4. I don't know if you've seen this show, but you've probably at least heard of both of them.
Okay.
But I'm hoping, goodness, I'm hoping you've at least seen one of these. If not, I swear we might have to go out back and throw a couple hands. Uh, number 4 here, BJ. Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad.
I
With
felt
it
like we
or
just
quit it.
talked about this last week.
We did
I
not.
have
We did not.
watched. Okay, I felt like we had, but because you asked me a Game of Thrones question last week, and I brought up Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. Um, yeah, I've watched both. You asked me that question last week. I might not have said that, but my lord, the mid-season finale of Better Call Saul,
That's
like
why I had to ask.
I was just absolutely like the jaw to the floor. I was like, oh my.
From that
So
candle. The candle, bro.
no, not the
I was like,
candle.
yo. I honestly see the funniest part about the candle, and people like said that was like the best part, the best scene, without any context, just a picture
Mhm.
of them looking at the candle. What
Yeah.
I instantly thought of, well, actually, you won't know this, but
Okay.
just say what would I ask you? You know what I instantly thought of when I
What?
saw that? What? Arya Stark from Game of Thrones. And I can't get into more detail because you haven't seen it yet. But when you see it, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. And I can't
Well,
wait
I
until
mean,
you decide
I
to
love
put that into your DVD player and watch some Game of Thrones, or you accept a subscription to HBO Max. Get with the program, BJ. I don't want to hear anything else, but I'm about to watch these shows. Okay?
maybe that'll be my summer on my summer to do list is Game of
Maybe.
Thrones.
Oh my goodness. All right,
Well, I've
whatever.
got to devote at least an hour and a half each week to with it or quit it, and the lowdown. You know that. No, but no. Anytime you get the candle, it's a great use of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was fantastic, but I like both shows, and so it's hard for me to pick. But the way that Better Call Saul has been in the ramp up towards where they get to, in introducing those characters in Breaking Bad, the way it starts off is similar in terms of how slow it starts, but then once it picks up, both shows really pick up. And right now, I'm going to say with it, I'll say Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad, but it's 1A, 1B. It's not 1, 2 or anything like that. I it might change again come the end of the show. I highly doubt that because I trust Vince Gilligan and the guys that are responsible for both shows. I think they're going to do a fantastic job to end the series.
I almost thought that I was gonna have to put in like stars or quotations. Better Call Saul spoilers in this episode, but we didn't actually spoil anything.
No,
Um,
I cannot in good faith. I cannot in good faith do spoilers
yeah,
for anybody. But
and
come back in a few weeks when we're stir crazy and it's been almost 6 weeks since we've had a new episode. We might be talking about the premise and a little bit more.
we're gonna be going crazy in the month of July. When that last
Uh,
half of the season pops out, and we see
yeah,
all the crazy stuff that we saw in Breaking Bad too. But I haven't watched, I haven't rewatched Breaking Bad surprisingly since the first time I watched it. I've rewatched Game of Thrones about 5 times. So
I've not rewatched it in full, but I've rewatched like some of my favorite episodes since
I
it ended.
definitely need to rewatch it.
I
All
think
right,
so
moving on.
too.
Number 5. This one is near and dear to me, BJ,
Okay.
and I hope that you're honest with me.
All right. I hope that I'm not done nothing but be honest with you this whole entire time.
Number 5. The Sulphur Springs Wildcats football team
Mm-hmm.
will make the playoffs in 2022. With it or quit it.
Oh. Uh, so this is the thing with Texas high school football.
Uh
It
huh.
all depends on the district and everything
Uh
like that.
huh.
And what you do in the non-district, it doesn't matter.
Community,
Sulphur
Paris,
Spring,
Kaufman, Maybank, Anna. What you got for me?
it's very doable to be one of the 4 teams in the playoffs in
But
that
can we
district.
do it?
Can you do it? I think so. Yeah.
Will
I
we do?
think. I
Is that
mean,
your final answer?
yeah, I'm with it, dude.
Let's go.
So I think what it's going to come down to. I don't think if you were like ask me if y'all are going to win the district, I would probably have to say quit it. But I
Oh
think y'all
no,
could be one of the third or the fourth seed in that district very
dude.
easily, and
Our
with the chance
new
to jump up to number 2.
our new head coach and athletic director would surpass our state championship winning coach if he came in the first year and turned around a program that won 0 games last year and
Mm,
won the district. You know when the last time Silver Springs won the district was, BJ?
2008.
No, it hasn't actually been that long, but it's been a really long time. It's been 10 years since they won their district.
Wow.
10 years. 10
Wow.
years.
Mm.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
Let's hope it. Let's
But
hope it changes. I'm gonna miss not getting to call a game against you this year.
I know, bro. I wanted my revenge. I wanted to beat you. I did not want to
Well,
go out winless.
you should have been there in 2020 because 2021 was our revenge year.
Yeah,
So
heck, I know I should have been, and I don't get to redeem myself in 5A unless I get hired somewhere else or something. I can stay winless in 5A forever. I can only start better in 4A. But hey, I hope I get to call playoff football. That'd be some fun stuff.
the
But
first
BJ,
year I was in first year as I was in 4A, I got to call playoff football. First year you're in 4A, you're gonna get to call some playoff football.
I sure
I
hope
gotta
so.
feel. I
I
gotta
hope
feel
so,
like
BJ.
it.
Well, BJ, that's with quit.
That's what they're quitting, man.
That is with it.
When did the time go by? This episode's already over, Drew.
I know it's insane. And BJ, I haven't told you this, but I'm hunting a guest
Okay.
for our next episode,
All
and
right.
he babbles about sports on the radio. So we'll see if
Mm.
we can get that fella in for the next episode of the Lowdown if he's got the time.
I like that. Let's get him on.
Let's do it. You guys will like the guest. You guys will like the guest. So make sure you tune in for that whenever he comes on. I've got no doubt that he'll say yes because his co-host has been on this show before. And if you want to figure out who that is, just think about it. Just go look back and go find out. And if you're just up to date on things, then you'll know who I'm talking about. It's gonna be hard to figure out, but just have at it. Have at it. Shouts out to Nate for showing up in the chat today. Appreciate the hype there. Yeah, got the guest coming. Appreciate you coming in and showing up for us. But that's gonna be this week's episode, guys. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram at _lowdown. That's THA_lowdown on Twitter and Instagram. Got YouTube and Twitch up for those that got to see today here on Wednesday's
Yeah.
recording. Make sure you guys go subscribe for free on YouTube and give us a follow over on Twitch as well. Whichever platform you use. If you're a YouTube guy or girl, then cool, you can watch us there. If you're a Twitch guy or girl, you can watch us there. Like Nay in the chat that we just mentioned, she's over on
Mm-hmm.
Twitch as we're live right now. So you can do just as she is doing and watch us live on Wednesdays as we record. If you like the video aspect too, if you're a podcast person, well, you get these bad boys on Fridays then. So show us that love. We'd appreciate it. Drop some ratings and reviews on our stuff so we can get noticed on those podcast platforms and be one of the best basketball podcasts out there. Just
Heck yeah.
let us know what you think about the show. And like I said, we will be making new additions over the next coming weeks and into this summer. So look out for the new things coming to the show and the new guests that are going to be jumping in. So without further ado, appreciate everybody showing up today, showing
Mm-hmm.
out, saying what's up, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.